Let me see. This is Proverb 5, 6. Hold on. There's some good verses and great advice in Proverbs on what girl you should go for, but too bad it's quote unquote a fairy tale book, people say. And they end up getting cheated on and lie to themselves that there's no way to know if somebody's trustworthy or not and that you just gotta chance it. Too bad indeed. But yeah. Instead of getting some good advice on, and I even tried to say this in my video, or I do say it in my video, where it's like, you are better off sticking with someone closer to their morals and someone actually follows their beliefs. But I've never been in a relationship, so what do I know? But then I look at other people and they're getting their hearts broken, so they're doing something wrong. But that's effed up and mean and cruel when I give them the truth that you can criticize my way of thinking, but yet you have yet to have a proper long-lasting relationship or lasting relationship, because then you'd be in one right now. I say that, and then it's like, oh, that sucks, that hurt, that cut deep, and I'm just like, really? Instead of taking this as an opportunity to listen and progress, you decide, oh, when that hurts, that sucks. No. Take it with a grain of salt and understand that you came into this world not knowing everything. There's room for improvement, and instead of getting salty or mad at what I'm saying, actually take some time to listen and self-reflect. Get mad if what I'm saying is wrong, if anything, but if what I'm saying is right, then you have room for improvement. You're not perfect, and chances are you'll never be perfect. That's just not going to happen. So, how about start somewhere small, like listening to me, and what I say comes from the scripture, and it's just good advice. Go for someone with a strong belief or actual application of their belief in God. It could be any God, at the very least, the bare minimum in terms of relationship advice. But then again, if they take their belief seriously, they should have deconstructed their belief and went on a path for truth. And a lot of the times, people who do that see that they don't have evidence for their belief, or that they went to biases for their belief, until you come across a real Christian, of course. I don't know why I just went on a tangent, but yeah, all from me talking about reading scripture. My point still stands. Don't criticize me about my advice when yours clearly isn't working. That's my thought process, kind of, where it's like, if something isn't working, why not try something else? I already know what I'm doing right now isn't working, so I might as well try something else, right? It only makes sense, I think. I might as well read some scripture. This is like the NACB version, easier to translate, I guess. And you're wait. My son, give attention to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may observe discretion, and your lips may reserve knowledge. For the lips of an adulteress drip honey, and smoother than oil is your speech. But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold of Sheol. She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways are unstable. She does not know it. Now then, my sons, listen to me, and do not depart from my words, or from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her. Do not go near the door of her house, or you will give your vigor to others, and your years to the cruel one, and strangers will be filled with your strength. Your hard-earned goods will go to the house of an alien. You groan at your final end, when your flesh and your body are consumed. You say, how I have hated instruction. And you say, oh, and my heart spurned reproof. I have not listened to the voice of my teachers, not inclined my ears to my instructors. So basically, long story short, while we get into this, it's just like, hey, I recommend you don't go after that adulteress, because you'll be saying I should have listened, and That you should have, as you come to a bitter end. Maybe that, I don't know if that's hell or post-nut clarity, but you should have listened. And that's definitely true when it comes to the adulterous thing. They can be really attractive. They can seem really nice. See, that's one thing I've noticed. Somebody could be utterly trash in terms of reliability or trust, but you can't avoid the fact that people are just going to be likable. There's some things you're going to laugh about. And when it comes to a girl, you might just think, oh, she's funny, she's nice, she seems caring, and this and that. But see her reaction to things that really matter is my usual recommendation. I think if you can talk to somebody about nitty-gritty topics and disagreements, see where you are in disagreements and how she reacts to those disagreements, shows if she's mature, but then it shows if she is also closed-minded unwillingly, or I mean willingly closed-minded. Like, let's say you can disagree or talk about things you disagree with, but she decides not to really take into consideration anything you offer. Well, she has no real intention of changing. And this can go as simple as a political or religious belief, or it can go deeper as in, what if her beliefs about a relationship aren't so strong as yours? What then? You can kind of find these things out. It may not directly mean she's unloyal or anything, because like I said before, it's not impossible to have a proper relationship. It's just really unlikely when you take God out the equation. Some people double down and say, without God in the equation, you can't have a good relationship. I think it's possible because God still gave us morals, even though we don't apply 100% and keep them in the equation. Now, you can't have the best relationship 100%. You can't have the best relationship without God, but you can still have a decent relationship without God. It's just really unlikely and impractical and a rough road, unstable, not recommended at all. Then there's also the fact that, well, if God's not in the equation in your life, well, why are you even getting into a relationship? What's the reason? What's the purpose? Is it your own selfish desires, or, just a little something to think about. Still don't get why I'm rambling about this, but it's just a little something. Why waste your time in a relationship if you don't have God in your life? Literally, the only reason you're doing it is because you're seeing other people do it. Or just because you feel like getting in a relationship, or not even a relationship, just getting your pee-pee wet. No real commitment. Experimenting, or as some people say, exploring yourself, looking inside, whatever nonsense. I got about one more game after this too, but yeah. It's just interesting where it's like, people, I don't know why this is, that pride just happens to be one of the biggest problems with humanity, but it's just like, you give people advice, you try and show them the error of their ways, and they just get mad that they're wrong, mad that their ways aren't working, mad that the fact that they were born into this world for only a few years, 20 maximum, usually a bunch of young, prideful, ignorant people. If, like, you're not even that far into the world, but yet you think you know everything. Sure, you know some things and probably know some more than others, but you don't know everything. And then it's like when that person who knows more than you or knows better than you decides to help, you just get mad. You can't accept the fact that you're wrong and accept that opportunity to change. It's just really interesting. And this is some of the things that I think about when I try to help someone and they decide to go off their rails and think, well, what do you know about relationships? Well, I mean, I decided to take the advice from the book that has been given to us through godly inspiration and inspiration from the one who's in charge of existence. Like, I think I'll take the person who is in charge of existence, his advice on relationships, over you who's been here for a few years and hasn't had a successful relationship or has some unstable process to go about. Like, I remember having a discussion not too long ago. Actually, some were a long time ago, but some were recent where it's just generally along the lines of like having a relationship with someone who's more serious about their beliefs. And something I've noticed is that from people who don't take their beliefs seriously, they can't really identify a person who takes their beliefs seriously. Like they can't really evaluate that because they themselves don't take it seriously. So how are they going to know? How are they going to know what to look for? What's the red flag or anything like that if they don't know what to believe themselves? And this is something I thought about, and I'm going to do a video on. I don't know why I'm rambling about this. Maybe I should just make this a video. I think I will. Just a spontaneous thing, but a little ramble, I guess. It's just like, one of the tips not only is finding someone with strong morals or beliefs, but the only way you're going to figure out if someone has strong morals or beliefs or not is if you yourself have strong morals or beliefs. I mean, when I was listening to their story, when I listened to not only one of my recent friends, but someone from a while ago, still my friend, we still talk and everything. It's just kind of busy right now. His life, my life. But yeah, it's just like I get this idea where everyone says, oh yeah, they were religious, they went to church and this and that. Okay, this person went to church and everything, but you're talking about how they were in a relationship with you. And I'm just thinking, a person who's actually taking their beliefs seriously wouldn't even be in a relationship with you. Friend, sure, but they wouldn't be in a relationship with you because they would see that you're not serious about your belief, and that person would be taking a risk, taking a chance, an unreliable risk or chance. So if you think about it, that person was quote unquote religious or whatever, but at the same time, they weren't serious enough about their belief to leave their relationship that they're in with you or stop it from happening. So were they really that serious? And this is where I think sometimes actions speak louder than words. Because, I mean, I really think I'm a weirdo, but when it comes to most people, general idea is actions do speak louder than words. I'll say that. Somebody's actions, and one of the best ways is to test them. It's not just oh, they have these actions or these standard things that I've seen before, I've gone to church, whatever. You should test people to see if they're really serious about their belief. High quality items and whatnot, I've noticed, they don't just go out there. Like, you can't, take a cheap item and a high quality item. They can both claim to be useful, reliable, and this and that. And these claims are in a similar way to people when they go to church or when they have a cross around their neck or whatever. But you don't know which one is actually higher quality until you test it. And that's where I think a person who doesn't really care about their beliefs or anything, they're most likely gonna have the wrong test. The test is gonna be too easy. It's like, and I thought about how funny this thought process is in a way, where it's like, as a Christian man, an actual practitioner of my faith, it's like, I think to myself sometimes, and I go, yeah, this girl is really pretty and everything, but it's like, if I test her in her belief, see what comes of it. Like, say even if she's in a relationship, right? It's like, if she were in a relationship and I tested her and she would be open to talking to me, I wouldn't want her. She would be open to wanting me, but I just wouldn't want her anymore. Because, I mean, she's not loyal, right? And let's say a person is not in a relationship and they claim to be a believer, whatever it is, and I test them. It's like, if they fail, well, then there's some work to be done. You need to improve yourself. But if they pass, where I portray myself as some non-serious Christian or person who doesn't take their beliefs seriously, it's like, if they deny me because they see me as some person who's just a fake believer or something, that would just make me want them more. It's like, me testing them and making them not want me would make me want them more, because it's like, now I know they're legit. And then, we can still grow or whatever, but still, that's different. These people who claim to be believers, Christians, whatever, go to church, I always think to myself, like I said, actions speak louder than words, but like, atheists can go to church too, Muslims go to church or mosque, whatever. Christians go to church, whatever, just so they don't look bad in front of their parents or have a bad image overall. And I'm just thinking, you know, it's really nice that you went to church, but otherwise your actions just don't make sense. Most people are believers in their own faith by title. No one really thinks why they even believe what they do. They were just raised to believe it and assume it's true. And it's really interesting. In a bad way, it's interesting how the mind works and how it really avoids or negates self-criticism, self-evaluation. No one ever really stops and thinks, why do I believe what I do? What caused me to believe it? Oh, my parents raised me to believe this and instilled this belief on me? Yeah, but that doesn't make it true. That's the same thing that happened with a Buddhist or a Muslim. So what makes my belief system true? And this should be thought about before you even decide to have a relationship. You need to understand your faith, deconstruct your faith. But people are scared to ask these questions because it goes back to the pride, where people are scared to be wrong. People are scared to say, oh, I was wrong this whole time. Well, it's time to improve. It's time to change your mindset. This is also one of the reasons why it's hard to follow Christ, because let's just say you did realize you were wrong. Not only do you have to do an entire life change from what you currently are going through, but you have to change to something else. So you have to go from one thing, which is one decision, and you have to go to another thing, which is another decision, into that lifestyle with Christ, right? And I'm just using Christian as an example here. Now, I prefer people who are to be real practicing Christians, but this could be for any belief if you're going to try and avoid being cheated on or something like that. Like, people don't even compare their belief systems to others and say what makes it true. Somebody could come along and give them some fake facts and they'll just fall for it. Why? Because they never really thought about it. And these are the tests that I'm talking about. If you've never asked yourself why you believe in something, not only why you believe in something, but what makes it what you believe true versus what somebody else believes true, I'm very, very confident in thinking that you're not really an actual believer. Chances are you just grew up in a Christian environment or something like that, and that was that. But I could genuinely sit here as a real practicing Christian, make an argument, make a case for Islam, or make a case for Buddhism. I could sit here and do that, and I can probably convince that person who claims to be a believer in whatever belief system it is. And I can confuse them into becoming a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Hindu or whatever. Because I already know the arguments for at the very least, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. I know some of them. And the fact that I can confidently say that some of the people I know, if I make a case for this other belief system, then I can probably convince them. And the only reason that they wouldn't be convinced is that they already know I'm a Christian. They already know I make videos, Christian content. But otherwise, if I were to use the same arguments as a stranger, shoot, if I were to maybe go on a burner account or something on Instagram and try and talk to them about it and they listen, they'd probably be convinced. That's what's interesting. That's one of the tests you can do to really decide if you're a real practitioner of your belief or not. Another thing is when I hear people cursing a lot at a time, it doesn't mean that somebody isn't a believer. Maybe they're a type of person who has understanding and understands that curse words are cultural, and depending on the bad words at the time, then it's a bad word or not, or the intention behind the word, not the word itself, right? Yeah, those are rare. A lot of the times you just have a person who is a Christian by title or a believer in any belief system by title, and this person then goes on to get lied to or something like that. And I'm talking about the cursing Christians here. The cursing ones, or even the people that decide it's not bad to get in a relationship with someone who's not as serious of a believer as they are, or something like that. Even the types that think I can change him, I can change her. No, stop the nonsense, you know? I give some very general advice. Stick to someone who is actually serious about their belief. But then I can see the problem with that. The problem is that they themselves would have to know what to look for. So what else can you do? I think you should start off as friends. I've seen some of this advice online already, which is good advice. If you want to know if you can trust somebody and be in a relationship with them, start as friends first. And the reason in doing that is not only you build a strong relationship, so even if you were to be in a relationship with this person and it didn't go well, you still have the fact that you have a good friend. But why would you be in a relationship with this person and it not go well? Like, why would you have such a strong friendship, but it also didn't go well, you know? That's also something to think about. Are you really in a strong friendship if you can't have a relationship with this person? And what's separating the fact that you can be good friends, best friends, close friends, but you can't be in a relationship? What's that deciding factor? Is one person wanting to be promiscuous or polyamorous or something like that? Or into polygamy or anything like that? Well, if that's the case, then I guess some people can have friends, and that I do too, of differing beliefs and differing viewpoints, but you shouldn't be in a relationship with them, right? That's a good place to start. You shouldn't be in a relationship with them. And then you can decide if you're going to surround yourself with people of similar beliefs, but also encourage you rather than just all be yes men or yes women, you know? And this is all just going off of like starting off to be friends first. That's just a good way to do things. If you're friends long enough, I personally think that you should be friends for at least like 6 months, probably a year. Like, I think you should really have time to talk to somebody and get to know them, see what moral decisions they make, what they do, what they advocate for, this and that. So you can see what type of person they are. The reason I like psychology and philosophy as well as theology as a Christian is because it makes my job easier when talking to people. It makes my job easier in assessing people. Now that I think about it, I think what type of person somebody is based off of their actions. If somebody says they're a believer or something like that, but I've seen that they curse and this and that, well, their behavior is indicative of a person that isn't serious about their belief, you know? And then the psychology behind it is that they're just another person who was brought up in this world and didn't think to themselves, why do I believe what I do? This is just another person that didn't deconstruct their faith. This is just another person that's serious about many other things other than God in their life. And this is where the psychology, I guess, comes in, or the philosophy comes in, where it's like somebody's psyche and their philosophy on life, you can really decide if it's thorough, if it's firm, if it's grounded on stone rather than sand, based off of how they go about their life, you know? Or based off the test you give. You can figure out if someone is genuinely serious about what they believe in or not. And then you can decide and you can look at other people, you know, if you get into psychology and whatnot, you can look at other people and start genuinely thinking to yourself, there are people in life that don't take their beliefs seriously. Where does it end up? How does it end up? Now, I said this earlier, but it usually ends up in a relationship that falls apart. So similarly, and well, think about for a second, why, think about what happens. Okay, it falls apart. Why does it fall apart? Because their very reasoning, their psychology when going into the relationship, their philosophy when going into the relationship, it didn't line up at all. It wasn't grounded. It was for their own selfish reasons. And their own selfish reasons may have been, you know, just for personal happiness or whatever. Their self-serving reason. Now, I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself when I was on Diverge, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, you get the idea where people need to take their beliefs more seriously, not only as general improvement, but if you're going to get into a relationship, you should really consider or reconsider. That's another thing, actually. I just thought about it. Another thing is people don't take relationships seriously, and this goes into the psychology of that person who's in a relationship. A lot of the times, not only is that person getting into a relationship for the wrong reason, but they're also getting into a relationship for the wrong reason because they're thinking to themselves, "Oh, it's just a relationship. I can test the waters. I can do this. I can do that." You know, they're not actually serious, is what I'm trying to say here. No, the person that is genuinely trying to get into a relationship is also the person who's not serious about their relationship, is what I'm trying to say here. So it's just something to think about. Like, And I brought this up in my video where I was thinking, or where I said, if a person doesn't take God seriously, are they really going to take anything else seriously? And this is something that I decided to touch on in a future video, but I will talk about it a little bit right now actually. I'm going to ask and just say, you need to figure out what a person finds important. And you can also figure this out through a friendship rather than being in a relationship. You need to really think about what a person finds important. And, this is a lot of information to take in, but this is just genuinely something that should be thought about. Because I was told that I'm overthinking it, but to be told by someone that you're overthinking a relationship or how serious it is means that that person most likely is not taking their relationship seriously or their relationship seriously. They're just being loyal because that's just what people do. There is no moral obligation to be loyal. There is no true love. It's just, oh, I'm being loyal because you make me happy and this and that. You make me happy. You satisfy me. You entertain me. That's basically how I see it. I'll tell you that right now. I don't see any real loyalty to be had in a relationship if there's no moral obligation. And the moral obligation is going to come from having a real relationship with God or just having some basic beliefs, you know? And then having some strong reasons for those basic beliefs. And I'm just thinking about it. When I was told that I was overthinking, I was just really thinking to myself, yeah, you definitely, this person who doesn't take their beliefs seriously is telling me I'm taking it too seriously. And this goes back to what I was thinking earlier about, you're telling me I'm taking things too seriously, but your method, your approach is just not working, and you're getting garbage. And this is just your genuinely good advice. Just, or at least I believe it is. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe it's not good advice. You decide for yourself. But at the very least, you taking your relationship not seriously is helping who exactly? It's not helping anyone. And that's something that should be taken into consideration. It's not even helping you, since the relationship, of course, isn't lasting. And again, people may have that, oh my goodness, what did he say reaction, but I'm genuinely just trying to help people, you know? I kind of just went on a tangent, all starting from scripture, but yeah, it starts there. It starts at having a good foundation, a good root, a good base, and then branching off with all your other decisions and other ideas in life. But it all starts with good morals, and because when you decide to have good morals, that moral system is probably going to give you purpose, right? So morals, for example, my morals are from the Bible, and the Bible gives me purpose. The Bible tells me that there's a creator who wants to have a relationship with me, and that's the best thing I can do. And then from that, other things can follow, right? So I'm just thinking about it, and oh my goodness, what the? That's wild. But yeah, when you have strong morals, at the very least, you're gonna get some other purpose, right? So that's just something to take into consideration, And then of course it ties back into the whole why you're getting into a relationship. It gets into that whole spiel, but that's besides the point. I've rambled on long enough. It's just, at the very least, when I try to help people, it's just my advice gets disregarded, and this is just all like things that go on in my head, and I guess I'll just edit this and talk about how I went on a rant or anything like that. But yeah, that's just, I genuinely try to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people become a better them, And that advice gets disregarded by these people who think they know everything. I tell people to self-improve before you try to go for someone else, and that's general advice. But then I get specific and I say you need to improve yourself. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, what you're doing isn't working, so what are you going to do? But that part, no one likes to hear. when I start pointing fingers and pointing out flaws in people's actions, nobody wants to hear that part really. People will nod along and say, I agree. What you're saying is good advice. People should take their relationship more seriously and everything. But sometimes they don't even know that I'm talking about them. And this is how I know just based off their body language and their response to what I'm saying. I can just tell that they're not self reflecting and analyzing themselves. If somebody agrees with me, if I'm talking to somebody who has this flaw and they agree with me, but they're not thinking to themselves, I should do that, or they don't say, yeah, I should take that into consideration. I know that they're not thinking about self improvement. They're just thinking, wow, that sounds really good. That's like a red herring or something like that, or just something that sounds catchy. I go on a tangent about how people should be serious about their beliefs and then also have a good purpose and then decide to find someone who's like similar. It's like, oh, that's really nice advice. And we're thinking, well, thanks for telling me it's really nice advice, but why aren't you doing it? You know? Anyway, I've gone on a tangent long enough. I don't even know why I started this whole spiel. Whatever. See you guys later. This is just going to be a bigger rat stream.